Hare Krishna. Thank you for joining. Let's start with Radha Madhav. Jai Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Jaya Giravardhari Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Jaya Giravardhari Shodanandana Vrajjana Ranjana Shodanandana Vrajjana Ranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Jayo Radha Madhava Jayo Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Jayo Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Om Gyan Timirandasya Gyan Anjana Shalakya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swam Rupa Kadamahyam Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapada Kamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavcha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Krishna Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitam Scha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kant Radha Kant Namastute Tapta Kanchan Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sutadevi Pran Mami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatu Brihascha Kirpa Sindhubevacha Paditana Pavnebhyo Vaishnavyo Namo 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 Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Śrīmate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschati Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasti Gaur Bhakt Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Mukam Kroti Vachalam Pangum Langyate Garim Yat Kirpadam Vandashi Guru Taranam Paramananda Madhvam Shri Chaitanya Hari Om Tassat Narayam Namaskritya Naram Cheva Naruttamam Devim Sasvit Vyasam Tato Jamadurya Nasta Preshabdirishu Nitya Bhavaseva Bhakti Utam Shloke Bhakti Bhavati Nestiki. Okay, so thank you all for joining. Let's continue. We're nearly at the end of chapter 10, and Monday we'll finish, and then on Wednesday we'll have the overview in the evening. So I'm looking forward to that. And Prabhu, who's given the overview, is really good. He's very, and you've seen his bio as well. He's very good, and I think we're interesting, can ask him many questions, and really nice answers as well. So last time we finished on 26th verse, we're doing 27th, and we're appreciating Krishna's greatness, and we're talking about the creation as well. So now we are on 27. Okay, let's just stop sharing this and share this. Aho bata svar yashya sastraskari kush asthali punya yash askari bhuva pashyanti nityam yad anukreshitam samita avalokam swapatim smayat prajaha. O prajaha. So ahabbat is how wonderful this is. Swa yashyas, the glories of the heavenly planets. Tir askari, that which defeats. Kush asthali, Dwarka. Punya, virtue. Yash askari, famous. Bhuva, the planet earth. Pashyanti, see. Nityam, constantly. Yat, that which. Anugraha ishitam, to bestow benediction. Samita avalokam, glance with the favor of sweet smiling. Swapatim, onto the soul of the living being, who is Krishna himself. Sma, used to. Yat prijaha, the inhabitants of the place. So undoubtedly it is wonderful that Dwarka has defeated the glories of the heavenly planets and has enhanced the celebrity of the earth. The inhabitants of Dwarka are always seeking the soul of the living beings in his loving feature. He glances at them and favors them with sweet smiles. So still the ladies, they have a lot to say, obviously. They are still speaking. The heavenly planets are inhabited by demigods like Indra, Chandra, Varun and Vayu. And the pious souls we reach there after performance of many virtuous acts on earth. Modern scientists agree that the timing arrangements in higher planet system is different from that of the earth. So time changes as we go higher until it becomes zero. Thus it is understood from the revealed scriptures that the duration of life there is 10,000 years by our calculation, because 6 months on earth is equal to 1 day on the heavenly planets. So if you are in the heavenly planets, when one of their days passes, which will seem like a day, but here 6 months would have gone. It's just the time factor is different. Facilities of enjoyment are also similarly enhanced, and the beauty of the inhabitants is legendary. Common men on the earth are very much fond of reaching the heavenly planets because they have heard that comforts of life are far greater there than on the earth. They are now trying to reach the moon by spacecraft. Considering all this, the heavenly planets are more celebrated than the earth. For the appearances, for these reasons. But the celebrity of earth has defeated that of the heavenly planets because of Dwarka, where Lord Shri Krishna reigned as king. 3 places, namely Vrindavan, Mathura and Dwarka, are more important than the famous planets within the universe. These places are perpetually sanctified because whenever the Lord descends to earth, he displays his transcendental activities, particularly in these 3 places. So they become spiritualized. They are perpetually the holy lands of the Lord, and the inhabitants still take advantage of the holy places. Even though the Lord is now out of their sight, he's still there, but you just cannot see him without materialize. And the inhabitants still take advantage of the holy places, even though the Lord is now out of their sight. The Lord is the soul of all living beings, and he desires always to have all the living beings in the Savarup, in their constitutional position, to participate in transcendental life in his association. His attractive features and sweet smiles go deep into the heart of everyone, and once it is so done, the living being is admitted into the kingdom of God from which no one returns. This is confirmed in the Bhagavad-Gita. So once you have Krishna Prem, or you to please Krishna, you can go back home to Vaikuntha, to Goloka, and you never have to return here again. The heavenly planets may be very famous for offering better facilities. So the difference in heavenly planets, they are still material. The heavenly planets may be very famous for offering material facilities or material enjoyment, but as we learn from the Bhagavad-Gita, one has to come back again to the earth planet as soon as the acquired virtue is finished. So the spiritual, because we are spiritual, the spiritual world is our home, because that's where we are from. We are spiritual. We are temporarily on this planet earth, and the heavenly planets are also material planets just like this one, and you get all the problems there as well, but they're a bit more subtle there, and the quality of life and of the body is better there. That's the only difference. And if you go there through your virtuous acts, once those virtues, the credits run out, it's like air miles. Once your air miles run out, then you have to come back here again and restart where you left off. So Dwarka is certainly more important than the heavenly planets, because whoever has been favored with the smiling glance of the Lord shall never come back again to this rotten earth, which is certified by the Lord himself as a place of misery. So, the earth is described as rotten, horrible, full of misery, but we find it's not that bad. It's not that bad. It's like people living in Handsworth. There's like YouTube videos saying how bad Handsworth area is, really bad. Most drugs and crime, this and that's going on. But you ask the people living there, they say it's not that bad. Maybe because they're used to it, or it's been hyped up that it's really bad. But in fact, we just get used to the idea of living. So we used to this miserable life with 3 types of miseries. We are here, and we get used to it, and we think, well, this is life. That's where it goes. Day and night go side by side. So any person engaged in devotion with the Lord is recommended to live in one of the above mentioned 3 places, namely Dwarka, Mathura, or Vrindavan. Because devotion service in these 3 places is magnified, those who go there to follow the principles in terms of instructions imparted in the revealed scriptures surely achieve the same result as obtained during the presence of Lord Shri Krishna. His abode and he himself are identical, and a pure devotee under the guidance of another experienced devotee can obtain all the results even at present. Yeah, so, but the thing is, your devotion service there is magnified, but if you do wrong, that will also be magnified. So it sort of cancels itself out. Srila Prabhupada said that we should never move to these places until we are completely purified, because we're going to go there and get up to nonsense. We're going to do no good. And then, in fact, they say that in the Vrindavan, that if you go there and you do nonsense, although you went there for the right reasons, but you do nonsense, you'll come back as monkeys of Vrindavan. So the monkeys there's so many there. These could be considered the people who went there to do bhakti, but they ended up doing nonsense, and they came in next life as a monkey. So we have to be very careful that we want to move to Vrindavan. So best to stay here. The Dham is also where Krishna Katha is going on. So it's safer. You can try and go for a high result, but the loss will be high as well. Or you can play safe and stay here in a way you're living with your family. It's a safest place to be, and you can still get bhakti from there, because it's all in the holy name. The holy name is powerful wherever it is. It's still powerful. So that's 27. Okay. Just quickly say that in heavenly planets there are no diseases. There is no childbirth or babyhood. You become a youth straight away and remain like that. There is no old age there. You stay young until your time is up and back down again. So, it might be good fun, virtual reality. You can have, you don't have to bother too much with the miseries, although mental miseries still be there. People, Indra for a fact that how much he's always suffering from mental problems, and others as well. So physically you might be strong, but mentally you can have issues, and there's no pains of birth, giving birth to children and bringing them up and all this. It's like a big holiday, but when your time is up, you have to come back. That's all. Nunam vrats hutadin ishvara samarjito hi asya grita panibhi pivanti ya sakhi adha amritam muhu vrats istriya samahur yad ashaya. So Nunam, certainly in the previous birth, Vrat, vow, Shanan, Bath, Hut, sacrifice in the fire, Adina, by all these, Ishvara, the personality of Godhead, Samachita, perfectly worshipped, he certainly, Asya, his, Grita, Pani, Bihi, by the married wives, Pibanti, relishes, Ya, those who, Sakhi, or friend, other, Amritam, the nectar from his lips, Muhu, again and again, Vraj Istriya, the damsels of Vraj Bhumi, some Mumuhuhu, some Mumuhuha, often fainted, Yat Asheha, expecting to be favored in that way. Or friends, just think of his wives whose hands he has accepted, how they must have undergone vows, baths, fire sacrifices, and perfect worship of the Lord of the universe to constantly relish now the nectar from his lips. The damsels of Vrajbhumi would often faint just by expecting such favors. Okay, so religious rites prescribed in the scriptures are meant to purify the mundane qualities of the conditioned souls to enable them to be gradually promoted to the stage of rendering transcendental service unto the Supreme Lord. Attainment of the stage of pure spiritual life is the highest perfection. And this stage is called Savarupa, or the factual identity of the living being. Liberation means renovation of the stage of Savarup. In that perfect stage of Savarup, the living being is established in 5 phases of loving service, one of which is the stage of Madhurya Ras, or the humor of conjugal love. The Lord is always perfect in himself, thus he has no hankering for himself. He, however, becomes a master, a friend, a son, or a husband to fulfill the intense love of the devotee concerned. Herein, 2 classes of devotees of the Lord are mentioned in the stage of conjugal love. One is Svakya and the other is Parakya. Both of them are in conjugal love with personality Godhead, Krishna. Now the queens of Dwarka were Svakya, or duly married wives. So it's all official above board. But the damsels of Vraj were young friends of the Lord while he was unmarried. So there is unmarried friends or girlfriends. The Lord stayed at Vrindavan till the age of 16, and his friendly relations with the neighboring girls were in terms of Parakya. So there's Prakya Ras and there's a Svakya Ras, which is legal and you could say illegal type, but it's Krishna, he can do anything he wants. These girls, as well as the queens, underwent severe penances by taking vows, bathing, and offering sacrifices in the fire as prescribed in the scriptures. The rites as they are not an end in themselves, nor are fruitive action. Culture of knowledge, of perfection, and mystic powers ends in themselves. That all means to attain to the high stage of Swarup, to render constitutional transcendental service to the Lord. Each and every living has his individual position in one of the above mentioned 5 different kinds of reciprocating means with the Lord. So we all have a rasa with the Lord, but we just don't know which one it is yet. And in one pure spiritual form of Swarupa, the relation becomes manifest without mundane affinity. The kissing, so you don't even have to try, it's automatic. The kissing of the Lord, either by his wives or his young girlfriends who aspire to have the Lord as their fiancé, is not of any mundane, perverted quality. Had such things been mundane, a liberated soul like Shukdev would not have taken the trouble to relish them. Nor would Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who was very strict, have been inclined to participate in those subjects after renouncing worldly life. The stage is earned after many lives of penance. So even in the time of Ram, seeing his beauty, the sages in the forest, that they wanted to have conjugal love for him. And he says that in this life, I am a Maryada Purushottam, one wife. But when I come as Krishna, then we will see. So this conjugal love, it's not like we think in perverted, bodily, chemical love, skin love of the skin. It's not like that. It's like soul to soul love. It's soul transcendental. So the residents of Dwarka, especially the wives of Krishna, are so fortunate now that Krishna is going back to them. So Srila Prabhupada explains. The damsels are just by thinking and imagining being with Krishna, they are satisfied. They love Krishna so much. So just by thinking about him, they can be satisfied. Anyone on the path of spirituality needs to render service to Krishna, so it's important to be purified first. Just like the queens of Dwarka, they are all purified, otherwise they could not serve or become the Lord's wives. Conjugal relationship with the Lord are completely transcendental. It's possible to have 5 different relationships with Krishna. It's hard to comprehend. Normally, we understand, Sakhya Ras, Dasya Ras of just serving and master. This is all like, other religions as well. They see Krishna or God as a power, and we are below him. We're there to serve him. These relationships of being passive, servant, friend, parent, and lover, these exist in the material world because it exists in the spiritual world. So whatever exists here also exists in the spiritual world, but in a transcendental way. Relationships in the material world are in the mode of passion. What can you do for me? That's, it's a transaction, isn't it? It's all transactional. Our relationships are transactional. We want something in return. Whereas in the spiritual world, it's all about giving pleasure to Krishna. So it's mentioned that the conjugal love, rasa, is seen as the highest with the gopis, because gopis don't want anything in return. They just want to please Krishna. They don't want nothing for themselves at all. Whereas the wives, husband and wife relationship is on an equal level. Husband wants something and the wives want something back from him. It's transactional. Parental is also, the parents want to love their child, to satisfy themselves by loving him, and they have some expectations from the child. And then as friends, we have expectations. And as a dasya, as a servant, you have some expectation from your master. But conjugal love of the gopis is the highest because they have nothing. There's no transaction whatsoever. As long as Krishna is happy, they're happy. They were happy to give their dust of their feet to Krishna, even though they thought they might go to hell for that, as long as Krishna's headache goes away. In that pastime, when Krishna said, I have a headache, and unless I get the dust of a devotee, this headache will not go away. Although his transcendental body, he doesn't get a headache, but you're just testing them. And only the gopis were willing to give the dust of their feet, even though it could have bad effect on them, eternally could be in hell, but they didn't care because they want to please Krishna. So that's why their love is the highest. They don't want nothing in return, they just want to give. Whereas the other relationships, they all want something in return. Okay. 29. Ya virya shulkena hrita swamvare parmathya chaitya paramukhani shaminaha pardumna sambamba sutadyo para yascha hrita bhoma vade sehasrishaha. So the lady Virya prows shulkena by payment of the price, Rita taken away by force, Swamre in the open selection of the bridegroom, Parmathya harassing Chaitya King Shishupal, Parmukhan headed by he positively, Shushmina all very powerful, Pardumna the Krishna's son, Samba, Amba, Suta Adhya children, Apara other ladies, those also Aharitha similarly brought, Boma Bade after killing kings, Sahasrisha by the thousands. So the children of these ladies are Pradumna, Samba, Amba, etc. Ladies like Rukmani, Satyabhama, and Jambavati were forcefully taken away by him from the Swambar ceremonies after he defeated many powerful kings headed by Shishupal. So they are forcibly taken, not against their will, against the will of the others. They wanted to go with him. And other ladies were also forcibly taken away by him after he killed Bomasur and thousands of his assistants. All of these ladies are glorious, that he fought for them. Exceptionally qualified daughters of powerful kings were allowed to make a choice of their own bridegrooms in open competition, and such ceremonies were called Swambar, or selection of the bridegroom, because the Swambar was an open competition between the rival and valiant princes. Such princes were invited by the father of the princess, and usually there were regular fights between the invited princely order in a sporting spirit. But it so happened that sometimes the belligerent princes were killed in such marriage fighting, and the victorious prince was offered the trophy princess. So she was the trophy for whom so many princes died. Rukmani, the principal queen of Lord Krishna, was the daughter of King Vidarbha, who wished that his qualified and beautiful daughter be given away to Lord Krishna. But her eldest brother wanted her to be given away to Shishupal, who happened to be a cousin of Krishna. So there was open competition, and as usual, Lord Krishna emerged successful after harassing Shishupal and other princes by his unrivaled prowess. Rukmani. So Krishna was successful in kidnapping Rukmani. So Rukmani had 10 sons, like Pradumna. There were other queens also taken away by Lord Krishna in a similar way. Full description of this beautiful beauty of Krishna will be given in the 10th canto. There were 16,100 beautiful girls who were daughters of many kings and were forcefully stolen by Bomasur, who kept them captive for his carnal desire. These girls prayed piteously to Lord Krishna for their deliverance, and the merciful Lord, called by their fervent prayer, released them all by fighting and killing Bomasur. All these captive princesses were then accepted by the Lord as his wives, although in the estimation of society they were all fallen girls. Their estimation of society, because they were stolen, they may be tainted, like that. They spent time with men who were not their husbands. So that was system. The all-powerful Lord Krishna accepted the humble prayers of these girls and married them with the adoration of queens. So altogether, Lord Krishna had 16,108 queens at Dwarka, and in each of them he begot 10 children. All these children grew up, and each had as many children as the father. The aggregate of the family numbered in the millions, so you can imagine. So this is verse 30. So anything on this? So Krishna's relationship with his wives is glorified. How he was happy to serve his wives as well, not just take service. So he was helping them as well, whatever favors they wanted, he would do. So no matter where these queens came from, the fact they surrendered to the Supreme Lord sincerely and became pure devotees allow them to transcend all bodily disqualifications and designations. The sincere surrender and designation purifies the soul. When the soul is purified, their previous designations have no place. Haridas Thakur was not allowed in Jagannath Puri. So example given here, he was happy to sit outside and offer respect to Chakra. Mahaprabhu accepted him and blessed him. The sincerity of purpose and the faith has to be there. So anyway, this is a pastime, but we won't go into that. Go to 31. Etha param stritvam apasta peshalam nirista shocham vat sadhu kurvate yasam grahat pushka lochana pati na jatav apeti aharti bir hridi sparshan. So Etha, all these women, param, highest, stritvam, womanhood, apast, peshalam, without individuality, nirast, without shocham, purity, but sadhu, auspiciously glorified, kurvate, do they make, yasam, from whose, grihat, homes, pushkar lochana, the lotus-eyed, pati, husband, na jatu, never at any time, apeti, goes away, ahriti, by presentation, hirdi, in the heart, sparshan, indeed. So all these women auspiciously glorified their lives despite their being without individuality and without purity. Their husband, the lotus-eyed personality Godhead, never left them alone at home. He always pleased their hearts by making valuable presentations. So the devotees of the Lord are purified souls. As soon as the devotees surrender onto the lotus feet of the Lord sincerely, the Lord accepts them, and thus the devotees at once become free from all material contaminations. Such devotees are above the three modes of material nature. That's what purification means, that you're no longer attracted, or you are above, you're transcendental to the three modes of nature, you're not controlled by them. There is no bodily disqualification of a devotee, just as there is no qualitative difference between the Ganges water and the filthy drain water when they are amalgamated. Women, merchants, and laborers are not very intelligent, and thus it is very difficult for them to understand the science of God or to be engaged in the devotional service of the Lord. It's because they are more materialistic, and less than them are the Kirats, Hunas, Andhras, Pulandas, Pulakshas, Abhiras, Kankas, Yavanas, Yavana like foreigners, foreign people, Khasas, etc. But all of them can be delivered if they are properly engaged in devotional service of the Lord. So they're only less intelligent if they don't, because of their weaknesses, that they don't take on to bhakti. Once they take on to bhakti, then they have proven that they're no less intelligent than anyone else. By engagement in the service of the Lord, the designative disqualifications are removed. So once you're in the service, then that designation of they are less intelligent, or they are this and that. There's no comparison. They're all equal then. And as pure souls, they become eligible to enter into the kingdom of God. So Srila Prabhupada explains, the fallen girls under the clutches of Bomasu sincerely prayed to Lord Shri Krishna for the deliverance, and the sincerity of purpose made them at once pure by virtue of devotion. The Lord therefore accepted them as his wives, and thus their lives became glorified. Such auspicious glorification was still more glorified when the Lord played with them as the most devoted husband. The Lord used to live with his 16,108 wives constantly. He expanded himself into 16,108 plenary portions, and each and every one of them was the Lord himself, without deviation from the original personality. Although his mood will be slightly different, his personality slightly different to match the personality of the actual wife. And how many husbands can do that? So, he'll be like, it'll be conducive to how the wife wants it. Some might want him very chatty, some might want him a little bit quiet, some might want him humorous. It's according to their own nature. So he knows, he's sitting in the heart. He knows what the wife nature is. He's bhavgrahi, which we are not. Wives expect sometimes us to be bhavgrahi and read their minds, but we can't because we don't have that quality that Krishna had. He's bhavgrahi. He knows what his devotee wants, and he can give that to them. The Shruti mantra affirms that the Lord can expand himself into many, a husband of so many wives. He pleased them all with presentations, even at a costly endeavor. So anyways, it mentions here, he brought the Parijata plant from heaven and implanted it at the palace of Satyabhama, one of the principal queens. If therefore anyone desires the Lord to become one's husband, the Lord fulfills such desires in full, like it's completely. There is not like a material husband. He's spiritual. He's God. He can fulfill all desires of the wife. Amazing. So, okay. So it's 30. So, okay. So we'll leave it here. So we've done up to 30. And I'd like to hear from yourselves. Okay, so thank you so much. And we will hear from this time. Let's start with Hina Mataji, because then we can take our time.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Thank you, everyone. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. There's some very nice verses that we're getting into. For me, for verse 27, I guess for me, if I had to summarize this verse, it's about how this material world provides us with an ideal condition to develop our spiritual life. We're definitely in the right place. It's not too hellish here. At the same time, it's not too heavenly either. We're in between. It's in between. It's conducive conditions, really. So we just need to make the most of that. Essentially, we're very fortunate that we're here and that we have the holy name. We've got everything. We've got all the tools to help us to develop our spiritual lives and go back home, back to Krishna here. And also then moving on to the next couple of verses around the gopis of Raj and how they demonstrate the highest level of love through conjugal love. And it's just such a sweet, nice example of how the gopis are completely selfless in their service. That was a nice couple of nice points there as well. And then finally, just around how we end up back at the queens of Dwarika, with Krishna marrying 16,108 wives, and how these were all very highly elevated devotees, purified souls. And only the Lord as well could marry so many wives and expand himself and keep them happy, and also almost be an ideal husband to that many wives at the same time. So it just goes to reinforce, how wonderful Krishna is in demonstrating his opulence and his Shakti and his ability, essentially, because only him could do this. So only him could do that, essentially. So yeah, those were my key points. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna, everyone.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mother. Yeah, absolutely. But this is why we are doing this, because to demonstrate, because we start thinking that we are God, we have Krishna's nature. Krishna, he is independent, and we have his nature. So we feel that we are also independent, that we have free will. But we have to understand that we are not Krishna. And can we marry 16,108 wives and be the ideal husband? Can we pick up Govardhan Hill? Can we keep so many Rakshas, like that? So Krishna demonstrates how he is God and we are not. So like that. So yeah. So this is why we don't jump straight onto Canto 10 to see, oh, Krishna married 16,000. Like a lot of the regions, they misunderstand Krishna, saying, oh, he was like a womanizer, he had so many wives, he had, he's playing around with so many girls, like that. But they don't understand he's God. He's not doing for himself. That's his Leela, and it's transcendental, it's not on the bodily platform. And Krishna, he has rasas with his devotees. They are his devotees, they're not his girlfriends, or even the wives, they are all his devotees. They're all devoted to him on a transcendental level. And it's only once you start practicing devotion, then you start understanding, what it's all about. Thank you, Mataji. Kiran Prabhu, Hare Krishna. You still mute, Prabhu?
Hare Krishna. Did you mention me or did somebody else?
I mentioned you, Prabhu.
Sorry. Hare Krishna, everybody. I think what was happening was evidential that the one day in heaven is equivalent to 6 months on the earthly planet. And for us, we have to be very careful of what we ask for and what we wish for. If we wish to reside in Vrindavan and Mathura and Dwarka, and our mindset is not pure, then the possibilities of pinching people's spectacles and hats is a possibility. And so it is good that we remain rooted to this earthly planet until there is a high level of purification. And that high level of purification is illustrated by the gopis, Radharani, the inhabitants of Dwarka, the inhabitants of Vrindavan and Mathura. And us being here gives us the potential and the opportunity to realize there are those 5 possible types of relationships that we can have with Krishna. Conjugal love is the highest. Parent, son, husband, master. Wow, so many choices. Even Arjun was his friend at first, but then realized the opulence of Krishna. He then became his disciple. And we have to become the disciple of the Vedas. And Krishna is the orator of the Bhagavatam. And he was reciting Bhagavad-Gita to Arjuna as well. So this realization, this purification on this earthly planet is an opportunity for us to be bereft of disease, old age, and aging. And you can see time shrinks in the higher planets. eyes, or they can only see a planet with craters, and other planets must exist. But once we have that higher level of God realization, that's Swarupa, then we'll be able to see, wow, it's not just a red planet. It's not just a moon with craters. There's a little bit more than what exists there. However, the opportunity exists because we can go to Dwarka, we can go to Vrindavan, we can go to Mathura. We can do the Govardhan Parikrama, as I did earlier this year. And until you can have that purification, because this deep dive in the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam on a regular basis enables us to be eligible in the future to be devoid of old age, disease, and return to this. And so, those people who were in association with Krishna and the gopis and the ladies of Vrindavan had that relationship. But these were along moral Vedic injunctions. There was nothing crude, lewd, or promiscuous about it. This was justified through Shastra and through Vedic injunctions. And now that we have been given a glimpse of the words of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, just thinking about it, just hearing it, will help us become more purified. The spiritual relationship is one of service, not a transactional arrangement. Don't ask for anything. He knows exactly what you require. And if he gives you a difficult time, it's all for our benefit. He knows what's best. And he knew how to take care of 16,108 wives with absolute equanimity, equipoise, and affection. They were served well to the best of his highest ability. He was dutiful and he was sincere and purposeful as a husband. He has the opulence where he can read and see and hear because he's omniscient, omnipresent, everything. We can't even read the vague non-verbal communication from others, including our closest partners who we've known for 30, 40 years. So what chance have we got at reading other people's minds? We have a long, long way to go, but the opportunity exists for mind purification, heart purification, and sense containment. And the efforts that are required is possible. That all we have to do is engage with depth, affection, and purity, for there is so much to achieve. And this is a priceless opportunity, and we should embrace it with grace. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Yes, I was going to say that, yes, we don't have to live in the dham, but we can go and visit the dhams regularly and, get the impetus for our bhakti, come back and serve, even more sincerely with more enthusiasm. So we can go and charge up at the dham. A lot of devotees do that. They go and charge up at the dham and they come back and live their normal lives side by side, in a balanced way. And you can, serve, and your chanting should improve as well. I mean, Lord Chaitanya, in the mood of Radharani, he came and he gave us what no other Acharya before him, he gave to us. Although they were building up to bhakti, but then they wait for the Lord to come and give us the final verdict, and to give us the Mahamantra, and showed us that use this Mahamantra, and by this you can get Krishna Prem, you can find your Swarupa just by chanting. Thank you, Prabhu. Ajay? Jaya?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Please, verse. I think one thing that's always important to remember is Krishna is the Supreme Lord. To remember his supremacy is to remember that he is unlimited. That's where a lot of people struggle with Krishna, especially because they see his activities and they think to themselves, "Oh, how can the Lord do this? This isn't right." They keep comparing themselves to him. Again, but that in itself is an offense because we are his part and parcel, and he is the complete whole. If we actually accept that he's unlimited, then we accept that everything belongs to him. So he is perfectly entitled to enjoy how he wants. In fact, he doesn't enjoy in a lewd way, or an incorrect way. He shows us how to enjoy it properly for our own benefit. But he's also more than completely entitled to enjoy how he desires. We need to be careful when we analyze the pastimes to make sure that we understand that there is a lesson there in every pastime. So with for example, with the 60,000 wives, previously during the Lord Ram's pastimes, they desired to be Lord Ram's wives, but Lord Ram's explained that he could only marry one wife. So during Lord Krishna's pastimes, he accepted them all as his wives. So it's the Lord showing his mercy to everyone. This isn't anything perverted as would happen in this world, and as explained in the purport, he maintained each wife, he can expand himself. So if anything, it's like it's one husband to one wife. So you can look at it that way as well. There's not a case of one person has one person has one wife. Every wife has their own husband in one sense, because Krishna can the ability to expand himself, to maintain them perfectly. We need to be careful then that we understand how we can apply Krishna's teachings, his principles that he wants us to follow in our own bhakti, because there's always something there to be learned, whether it's during these pastimes, whether we're on the battlefield like Kurukshetra. And that's another example. Krishna could have wiped out the gurus by himself, but no, he wanted to show that you need to fight against the impious. You need to stand for what is correct, follow his instruction, follow his desire. And he himself was on the battlefield. In other words, we need to be more than just a servant of the Lord, a devotee of the Lord, in just name only. We need to actually make it part of our life. We need to take the Lord's instructions to our heart. When we do that, then we actually progress. Until then, the intensity won't be there because we haven't fully accepted our own relationship with the Lord. We haven't accepted what we actually need to do to actually attain our natural constitution, always remembering the Lord. Once we do that, then we're on the right. Okay, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you. Jivera Sarup hai Nitya Krishna Das. I think that's what we got to remember. And because no matter what relationship, rasa you have with Lord Krishna, that dasa will always be in there. Now we're still a servant, whether you're servant, friend servant, parent servant, or conjugal servant. The servant will always remain. That's a relationship. Rani?
Hare Krishna, pranams to all of you. Yes, this chapter is coming to an end soon, and amazing. Krishna has left Hastinapur, is in Dwarka, and the Dwaraka Leela is being narrated to us now, and just to hear these Leelas, that how he married 16,108 queens. Krishna doesn't forget his promises to his devotees. So if he has promised us in Bhagavad-Gita that he is going to deliver us, that he just says, abandon all the religions, come to me. So Krishna is going to keep his promises. It's a, whatever he says in Bhagavad-Gita, in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam we see it is shown how the role play is shown, how those were executed. Krishna is Atmaram. He can fulfill all his wishes. He doesn't need anyone. In all the pastimes, it's shown, whether it was in the Kurukshetra war in Mahabharata. He was a charioteer of Arjun, but at the same time, he was mindful to fulfill the desires of the other devotees. He fulfilled Bhishma Pitama's desires. He promised he wasn't going to pick up the weapon. He did. And as we go through the Bhagavatam, we'll get more and more pastimes coming. And that's why, when we read the mundane literature, it's so boring. We just read something once and we don't want to look at it again. We're done with it. But with these transcendental pastimes, they are always new, always fresh, because every time we get a different perspective, different understanding, a different, so as to say, a lesson for ourselves, depending on the kind of day we are having, the kind of situations we are in. So these are the perfect teachers. Krishna's teachings. Krishna is the perfect master. Krishna is in perfect rasas. He's got only 5 principal rasas, principal exchanges with his devotees, loving exchanges of the master, of the servant. Krishna can be our servant as well. How, in which religion we will hear God also becomes your servant, but he's not our order fulfiller, that we desire something that he's going to fulfill it. He's going to sanction it only if he deems that it is right for us in whatever situation we are. He's there in conjugal rasa as well, and then there is in the Shant rasa as well. So if we want to, we just want to enjoy his pastime, we can be in Shant rasa in the Gokul as the transcendental trees. So, but to acquire our Swarupa, we have to do the devotional service, and as we keep on doing our devotional service to Krishna, devote our time to Krishna, Krishna will slowly reveal in our heart which is the rasa, which is the mellow, which is the Swarup, is our permanent Swarup, which will be there in Golok, Vrindavan or Vaikuntha. Once we are able to leave all the material desires, when we are above it, then we'll be granted the permission into those realms. And time passes so fast there. So that's why I was reading somewhere that our time is like not even a second, to Mahavishnu, when Krishna comes as a plenary portion of the Vishnu's, the Karnodaksha Vishnu, Garbhodaksha, Kshirodaksha. So what are we in the big scheme of things? We are just being granted everything so graciously by him to sustain ourselves, because only in this form, only in the form of a jiva, you can do the bhakti. When you are in Swargalok or in these higher planets, heavenly planets, you get all the facilities. You are above the disease, the birth, the hankering, anything. You're not lamenting. There's too much enjoyment, but you haven't got the body to serve Krishna, because it's all spiritual, subtle bodies up there. They haven't got the bodies like us. So I was just thinking that's why, when we see the posters of demigods or the murtis, they're always fresh, because they're born as, they're not born, they appear in the heavenly planets as youth. So anyone who is in pious activities in this on this earth, if they've acquired so much credits or punyas, they will get birth. No, we shouldn't say birth. They will appear as heavenly planets, Vasis, and they will be perpetually youth. But there's a caveat to that. Once the credits are finished, the way is not up to the Golok Vrindavan, the way is down, down to the earth. So when we know the highest destination for a soul is Golok Vrindavan or Vaikuntha, if you can't make it to Golok, then why desire for these temporary, positions? Even Brahmaji, who is the most powerful of the jivas, he is also jiva. He is not considered as a purely spiritual. So when we know what is our final goal, what is our finishing line, we should just aspire for that. Otherwise, we can carry on this earth if we enjoy the little bit comforts of this earth. Mahaprabhu, as was being said, that yes, Mahaprabhu, Krishna came so graciously as Mahaprabhu in this Kali Yuga. Among all the Kali Yugas, he comes in this Kali Yuga. It's in a specific Manu's Kali Yuga he comes, when after Krishna comes in the Dwapar. And he gave us the Jagannath Rath Yatra, he gave us Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, he gave us the Mahamantra, how to deliver ourselves, the easiest of the Bhakti margs. All we have to do is just chant and be happy, as Prabhupada says. So let's do it, and may make our path more and more clearer towards Krishna consciousness day by day. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. So our destination is not heavenly planets, it's Goloka Vrindavan or Vaikuntha. Hopefully Goloka Vrindavan, and that's what we're going to strive for. So thank you so much. Granthraj, Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, and we'll catch up again on Monday and Wednesday. There'll be no program in the morning. We'll have a overview in the evening. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Have a nice
Hare Krishna.
Thank you.